Hello, folks. This is Captain Klesnik. Welcome to episode 2 of my series, in which I play through Enigmatica 9. So, since the last time, I've done a couple of things. Collected a lot more lumber, made a lot more torches, did a lot of exploring to collect resources, died a few times. Last time was a real pain to get to. Set up my first lava farm. Lava farms are very easy with dripstone. All you need to do is to set up a pool of lava, which is up there contained between the cobblestone, and you have a bit of dripstone on the bottom, and this fills up indefinitely. And I'm saving the lava for future use over here, some distance away from my house so I don't set it on fire. So, I also built for myself the first tier of a pocket storage. Pocket storage is, as I said, a mod that I've added that allows you to put some things into it, such as a few items. The tier 1 can only hold 8 items, probably I think only 256 of them. So I threw in some cobblestone, some dirt, andesite, granite, diorite, and cobbled deep slate. So as I go traveling around, this will automatically get placed inside here, and if it gets above the number that can fit in there, it'll void the extra. And that helps keep my bags a little bit clearer for other things. Probably should start making a desk for a drawer for machines, so I'll put this over here. Oh, I completed some of the start off quests. So, for example, one of these gave me, like, when I collected some redstone, the mechanism quest tree opened up and gave me a little device for detecting current flow. And I haven't made any progress with any mod yet, other than the first tier of pocket storage. So, now I get to decide what I want to do next. Well, after some thought, like I said last time, I think I'm going to start with Create. Create is a wonderful mod to get started with. It allows you to harness energy from a variety of sources, such as water power, wind power, steam power, and use them to drive machines that can do a whole array of useful things. What makes it particularly useful for early game is the fact that water power and wind power, once you've built the machine to harness them, gives you a perpetual, effectively infinite source of energy that you never have to fuel again. Now, before I get started, let me just go grab a few resources, and I'll be right back. Alright, for those people that have never used Create before, as I mentioned before, we need to start harnessing a source of energy to drive machines. This is typically done at first with water wheels or windmills. So I think I'm going to set up a water wheel system here first. This I'll use to make some basic parts to then develop my first steam engine, which will be able to drive a lot more advanced machines later on. So water wheels need a number of slabs, and they need large cogwheels, which are made by shafts, which are made by andesite alloy. So we're going to need andesite alloy, we're going to need shafts, we're going to need slabs, and we're going to need large cogwheels. And there's also something called small cogwheels. So, andesite alloy, I have the recipe up over here, is made with either iron nuggets or zinc nuggets and andesite. Now, I have lots of zinc and not very much iron, so I'll probably do it by zinc ingots at this point. So what I'll do is I'll just make about a stack to start off with, and See if I have more andesite. Whoops, getting towards dark, so maybe bring a bed over here where I'm working. But for now, I'll just sleep through the night. From an andesite alloy. Whoops. I think I'd like to make some more. Let's see if I've got some more andesite in here. I do. Alright, let's make a stack of shafts to begin with, and let's make some slabs. A stack of that to start with as well, and then we can start making for ourselves cogwheels. We'll start with 16. And we'll make some large cogwheels. And then finally we can make the water wheels. I guess I'll start with 6. All right. So water wheels use water flowing around them to generate power. This can be done downhill, or it can be also done horizontally in a plane around the wheel. I think for here what I'll first do is set up an area where I'll just have a number of these wheels together, all being propelled in the same direction by water rolling around it. Actually, there's no reason this has to be down over here by the water, because this is going to be a self-contained unit. So why don't I do it up here? Maybe it's time to just make for myself an iron shovel. All right. Now you place water wheels by either clicking or shift clicking. If you shift click, it puts the wheels facing in the opposite direction. So, the quest reward for starting with Create gave us a wrench. Wrenches are really nice for all sorts of things. First of all, you can shift right click any item in Create, and it will take it right off and put it back into your inventory. Now, these water wheels, if you notice, are asymmetrical. They have little planks of wood that are designed to catch water and will work efficiently one way and inefficiently the other way. So water flowing in this direction will generate power more efficiently. Once you have one down, you can just put a whole bunch of these stack to stack. So, like I said, I'm going to start with 6. Now, to get this to flow, it works most efficiently if you have it that allows water to flow around as many surfaces of the water wheel as possible. I'm going to do that here. It usually takes me a minute to remember how to set this up, but I'll get it eventually. You may notice that I've blocked off the back surface of the wheel. It is possible to actually have water flowing around all four sides of the water wheels, but this requires to have a bubble column of water in the back generated by soul sand. I'm not going to worry about this for now. All right. So the wheel starts turning, but for every water wheel that has water turning on all three sides, the more power we're going to get. So I'm going to set this up with all 6 water wheels generating power for me. Maybe more than I need, but that's okay. Alrighty, I think that's everywhere. Now we can poke a hole on either side. Well, maybe not there. Drat, missed again. Alright, let's start making some machinery over on this side. So first of all, we can use a shaft to extend rotational power out from our power source. And again, right-clicking with the wrench from Create pops it back into your inventory. So what I'd like to do is, this is turning at a pretty slow rate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double the rate at which it can turn by using a trick with these cogwheels. So if I take a large cogwheel and a small one, if I apply that like that and put a second one here, you'll notice that the small one is now rotating twice as fast as the first one. So this will drive machines faster, which is what I like. So what is the first machine that I'd like to make? Let's see if I have enough to make a mechanical press. So a mechanical press requires a shaft, some andesite casing, which I'll have to make. There's 2 ways you can do it: automated with machines that come from Create, or you can do it by hand. Pretty much all I have to do is lay down some stripped logs and touch it with andesite and alloy. So I'll do a few of those. And we need an iron block. So I'm going to make one of those right now. I do have some logs left from before. I'll just use my axe to strip these. And right-click with my andesite alloy to make andesite casing. And there we have our first mechanical press. So the mechanical press, you might notice, has rotating shaft that other shafts or cogwheels can connect to. This is now spinning, and if I were to put some iron in there, it would start pressing it flat. I wonder if I can make a depot at this point. Yeah, sure, why not? Depots are things that you can put down under the mechanical press, and when you lay items down on there, it will squish them flat. So for example, I know I'm going to want a lot of copper plating. For example, I'd like to make fluid tanks to store the lava that's being generated from my dripstone lava farm. That will require copper sheets. I don't know, stack of copper ingots. Start smelting some. Let me just sleep through the night. And I'll just place my copper ingots down onto the press, and bonk. The press will start smashing ingots one at a time into copper plates. While this is happening, I'll check to see if I've completed any of the quests for part of the Create Tree. Oh my. Guess I've done quite a few of these. I'll just collect the rewards of all these right now. Oh, that's nice. They gave me some goggles. I'll show you what those do. They get one of my rewards must have been for a set of goggles, which I will put on. Okay. Do I have some chests? I do. So why don't I store some things in here? All right. I can put my goggles on the head slot of the curio. And by the way, I'm going to use this to hide my helmet. Maybe I do it this way. Can I specify that I want to see the... There we go. So with this, I'm hiding the helmet. And over here in the curios, I show that I want to see the engineer's goggles. And so now you can see that I'm wearing them. And these goggles are kind of useful. When you have them equipped, they start showing you information on various things. So for example, over here, now when I'm looking at any one of these water wheels, it tells me that I've generated 256 stress units worth of power. So I'll multiply that by 6, that's about 1,500 power altogether. So, like I said, I want to make a lava tank, and I'm going to want to make some piping, which needs some more copper, and I'd like to make a mechanical pump as well to pump lava. So this will be an example of a first machine that we're going to make. Let's go grab what we have here at this point. All right, it's a good thing I started smelting some more copper inside. So with this, I'm going to first of all, I need to make some barrels. Do we still have some logs? I do. Wonder if I can just... I was hoping. That should be plenty. So I'm making a total of 8 tanks. Whoops. If you hold shift while you click on the plus here, it puts in as many ingredients as you have, so you can make, as you can see, up to 8 tanks. I think what I'm going to do is make all 8. Probably only needed 8 of them, so there's 1 extra. I'm going to want to make some piping. I think a little more piping than that. That ought to be enough. I'll make 2 mechanical pumps for now. Oh, let's make 1 more mechanic water wheel. So remember this infinite supply of lava that I was generating over here? I was manually having to transfer a bucket at a time over to the side here. No longer will I have to do that, because I'm going to build a machine that will automatically pump the lava out of the container and store it into a very large container. So to do that, we first need to lay down some pipe. That ought to be enough. Now we're going to need a water wheel to drive this. Actually, why don't I do the following? I'm going to attach that mechanical pump right here. And then from there, build up a fluid tank on top of it. These fluid tanks are individual unless you set them in a 2x2 or 3x3 array. If you put a 2x2, they become one storage tank. This little 2x2 contains 256 buckets of lava, and I'll put another 4 on top of it. And so now we can actually store 512 buckets of lava. This pump is currently set that with power it'll send it this way. With the wrench you can flip the direction in which it flows. So now I just have to figure out how I want to get some power into this. Right, I think I'll do it this way. I have a little plan. Wrench, by the way, also will let you rotate things. So whatever side you're rotating, you click on, it rotates around that side. So I guess that's okay. Now, it might look like, if I were to place water at the back of this water wheel, that it would flow out over the cauldron of lava. But because there's a piece of dripstone there, the dripstone can't be waterlogged and it'll prevent water from flowing there. All right, our machine is working. And if I click on this, we can see that lava is now flowing from this cauldron over into the storage container over there. Transfer another bucket over. So over time, this tank will just continue filling up with more and more lava. Nice. All right, back over there. Next machine that I typically like to make is a mixer, because there's often ingredients that you need to use the mixer to make. So why don't I go ahead and do that when the sun goes down? I'll sleep through the night, go to work on that. So what do we need to make a mixer? So we need to make a whisk and the rest of the ingredients we have. So a whisk is just made with these things, but it needs 5 pieces of iron sheet. Okay. Pop this out. Those are ready already. So I can now make a whisk. And from there, I should be able to make a mechanical mixer. Good. And I'd like to make a basin to mix in. And going to need more iron to be able to make a blaze burner eventually. You'll see what those are for. All right, you'll notice that this thing gets its power by having a cog running next to it, unlike before where you needed a shaft to come in. So we need to figure out a way that we're going to flip the power to do that. And I think what I'll do these larger cogs can be placed at a 90-degree angle like this, and then you can attach to the shaft any one of them and pop that in, and it's spinning. Not that pretty, but it works. Put my basin underneath there. All right, let's see what quests we've completed. So we made the mechanical mixer. Oh, they would have even given me... No. Okay. We have water wheels. We have mechanical pumps done. We have fluid tanks done. Empty out the bags again as usual. All right. I was sort of wondering what I wanted to do for the rest of this episode. I considered the possibility of doing a tree farm, but I soon realized that that would require brass, which would require blaze burner, which would require a trip to the nether, and I wasn't quite ready to do that yet. I considered a wool farm, but that requires observer and deployer, not a deployer, dispenser, again requiring a trip to the nether. Didn't want to do that yet. And then I thought, you know, it might be fun to expand our power supply for Create by making the beginnings of the big steam engine structure that will power all my contraptions for the rest of the series. I don't think I'll be able to make it there entirely, but I could start that today. That sounds fun to me. I'm going to do this backwards. For a steam engine, you need to have a fluid tank that has a heat supply and an endless supply of water feeding it at a rate to keep up with the boiler. So that means you need to have an infinite water supply, and you need to have water flowing in at a rate sufficient to keep the thing going. To pump all that water, you'll need to have another power source. This could be either a windmill or a series of water wheels, but I think we'd be able to do that with just a smaller steam engine dedicated entirely to getting water into the big one. And finally, using a single water wheel to power the first steam engine, driving everything else. So we're going to build this backwards. I already started clearing an area for this. Just clear a little bit more. and then we'll get started. Okay, to start off we have 4 water tanks and 4 campfires below it. And now we'll put 4 pumps that will pump water from an infinite water supply into the 4 tanks. Put some extra pipes. Not the biggest fan of the pipes interconnecting like that. I'd rather keep each one independent. So what I will do is grab my wrench and right click on the plumbing that's running here and keep the plumbing separate, so that each pump is then therefore only responsible for 1 water tank at a time. Let's do through the night. Now I'll grab some water to set up an infinite water supply up there. Now these pumps do draw out water, so we're going to just make an infinite water supply under here. Now I need to make some steam engines. Looks like I need some blocks of copper and some golden sheets. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, here I come with some gold ingots, which I will smash into gold plates. Which I can then grab and combine together to make my first steam engines. These I will attach onto this side, like so. And then I can grab some shafts and place them in front of the steam engines. Oh, I prefer not to be that way. Hang on a second. figure this out eventually. There we go. That's what we want. Okay, it looks like it needed to be a little further back. So that way all 4 of the steam engines will drive one crankshaft, which will add together to one strong power supply. Now I need to get the water pumps turning. So I'll do this by placing a large cog here, which will be driven by another steam engine. Alright, so what do I need for this? I guess I'll start by adding a shaft that's going to be driven by the prior steam engine, just like that. And now I need to build that steam engine. I'll just place a temporary block here and grab some of my prior steam engines and see if I can attach these. I guess I can put one back. See if I can attach this. Well, I guess I probably have to make the water tank first. Hang on. I think in this case, I'm just going to make a single water tank, which in turn will then drive, whoops, wrong location. That large cogwheel just like that. So this will need its own heat supply and its own water supply. But it is getting dark, so I'll just hop into bed first. Okay. Next I'll need some campfires. Which requires more wood. Alright, let me just go grab some. It will be really nice when I have a tree farm. But we're not there yet. Soon. Trademark. Okay. Let's make some campfires. And place them under the boiler. Now this in turn will also need its own water supply, which will be pumped in by hopefully 1 or 2 water wheels. I need a pump. I guess I could borrow one from here for the moment. I think that'll work fine for now. Alright, let me see if I can get this pump facing down into the ground. Just like that. Attach a piece of pipe. And now I just need to make an infinite water supply. got in my bucket. Place water on the diagonals of a 2x2 creates an infinite water supply. And now we just have to get that water pump turning, and we may be all set. Alright, I want that pump turning fairly quick, so I think I'll use the trick again of taking a large cogwheel, running diagonally into a small one, so that'll increase its speed by a factor of 2 from the original power supply. And now I'll set up a water wheel just like before. I think I'll flip that around and put it the other way. Yeah, I want it spinning more towards downhill in case I decide to make a stream out of this thing, or something like that. Alright, let's build up some dirt around all of this so we can set up our flowing water. I can make this all pretty later. This will work for now. Okay, that ought to do. Grab some more water. Have to figure out how I want to get up there. And for now, I'll stop the water from spilling around. And there we go. And all right, that pump is pointing down, so I'll right-click it with my wrench so that water will go in. All right. That's functional, and that's creating 2,000 stress units to begin with. The 2,000 stress units can then pump water up into the other one. Have to flip 2 of those. And presumably this should turn on. Oh, my size, it's too small. I guess each one of those furnaces have to be 4 tanks large, so I need some more fluid tanks. Hang on. Okay. I made some extra fluid tanks, and I'm just grabbing some soil so I can get up to the top. Make it a little taller, in fact, make it easier to get up there. And once I make these 2 higher, these steam engines turned on. All right, I think we're onto something here. We've now got, from one water wheel, an infinitely running power supply that we can use for subsequent crafting mechanisms. Now I need another pump, because I stole one. And at some point I'll need to make another steam engine too. So just put this pump in place. Just like that. And I'll need one more steam engine. Can I make one? I think I've got a little more gold left in here. Just take a quick peek. All right. Again, we'll need one gold plate for this, so let's smash that one. And then, oh, we need to use the crafting table. Oops. Need one more block of copper. And there we go. And if we attach that on, there we are. A nice endless supply of 8,000 stress units for me to play with. And of course, this is not going to be the final engine. This steam engine power plant here can get a lot bigger. And it will over the course of the series. But I think this will do for now. Why is one steam engine not working? Oh, I guess that's not an infinite water supply over there. Let me make sure it turns into one. And there we go. Hopefully that'll turn on properly. And it did. Nice. Well, that seems like a good place to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you all for joining me. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.